And I think a lot of times when we think about the biggest problems facing our world today, the greatest global concerns, we think about things like world hunger or public health threats such as heart disease or cancer or diabetes, or maybe antibiotic-resistant superbugs or climate change, things like deforestation, air and water pollution, or water depletion, or things like animal cruelty. These things are so huge, they're so overwhelming. How can we make a difference? And I always think there's one thing that ties all of these global concerns together, one underlying root cause, and that's factory farming. Because, for example, factory farmers use the vast majority of antibiotics in the world. So factory farming is a leading cause of antibiotic-resistant superbugs that kill over 700,000 people every single year. And because it takes many pounds of animal feed crops, such as grain or corn or soy, to produce a single pound of meat, factory farming of growing crops to feed to farmed animals to then feed meat to people is incredibly resource intensive and wasteful and an inefficient way to feed a growing human population.
I came at this from the environmental perspective originally. I was studying environmental biology. I was starting to understand how conventional animal agriculture was impacting climate change and biodiversity loss and deforestation and many of these issues. That's really why I'm drawn to what I consider to be a very high impact and neglected space. Every time I have a plant-based meal, I feel very excited because I know that that meal was one that was good for my health and good for the planet and good for animals. But I also try to look beyond myself. So you can impact every single day people that you meet. You can go into a restaurant and ask them to add, for example, a veggie burger to their menu. You can donate to high-impact charities.
Whenever you look at older generations versus younger generations, it's the younger generations that are going vegetarian or going vegan in greater numbers. So we're seeing this shift generationally. And I think a lot of that has to do with social media. It used to be 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was a real struggle to get these important issues out to the people so that they were aware of what was happening to animals on factory farms or what was happening to the environment or the consequences to human health, because you had to rely on mainstream media to reach the masses. But now with social media, we can reach millions of people on our own without having to filter our message through the CNNs of the world. Or the Fox News or other mainstream media outlets, so we can have our message reach millions, and then through sharing, it reaches millions more. So I see that paradigm shift happening generationally.
The progress we've seen in recent decades is incredible. The majority of people are not vegan. The majority of people are not vegetarian. Those percentages have remained they've certainly increased, but relatively to the rest of the population, they're relatively low. But what I am very excited about and what I think is really driving the movement is many, many people are increasing their consumption of plant-based foods. People are starting to recognize that in order to be healthy, they have to eat more fruits and vegetables and plant-based foods. And they do care about animals and they do care about the environment. And they can make a great difference by simply incorporating more plant-based foods into their diet.